Like I shall start from the acid-base equilibria. So once you are going to be considered about acid-base equilibria, I can ask some of the example. Who is a strong acid? Who is a weak acid? Which are the strong acid? Which are the weak acid? Just you can use like a definition. Like for example, if anything strong means completely must be dissociate. The word is more important whenever I am going to highlight. Okay. So if anything I ask which is what is a strong acid, what is a weak acid, and give me your example or distinguish the compound. Who is the acid, who is the base? Something like this means if you see like you have to mention like a completely must be dissociated. That word must be important. Okay. If it's supposed to be you are going to be write this whole para is good also. For if you're supposed to be used like a dilute one, you can use like a no HA will be exist from here. If you weak means like the dissociation must be low, is slight. So weak. Okay. So this slide just keep remember. And if the question can be definition means you have to write 1, 2, or 3. But if there is no definition, just to say which are the molecule is a strong acid, which are the molecule is a weak acid, then you can just keep this only one slide. One slide and you can categorize. Okay, if for example I can keep like high HCl. I will have come here. Maybe I can list 1, 2, 3, 4 like 1, 2, 3. Like for example HCl and acetic acid. And like this many things I can keep it. Who is a strong acid? Who is the weak acid? You have distinguished means strong means completely dissociate. Weak means low dissociations, which means this is completely dissociate. That means he can produce H plus and Cl minus. Like this, you have to give it. This is the strong acid. This is the weak one. Like this, you can categorize one. That's when it can be like one of the question for you. Okay. Then after that, if you explain anything, no problem. Then I can speak about here some of the example you have. That's why you just remember this one. And yeah, acid base both are same. And keep remember. Yeah, this is what your homework. You just keep remember your homework also. And one more thing is you just remember the auto ionization of the water. I could ask the question little bit indirect question, not direct question. What I mean? Why, for example, why water always used to dilute the acid or base? The reason the question is complicated. You cannot understand question. But the answer is this one. Because answer, it can be the acid, it can be the base. So if you add the water, if you add the acid, it can be acid solution. If you add into the base, it will be base solution. So that's the reason why we are using the water to make any acid or base solution. That is depends upon the auto ionization of the water. Okay. The auto ionization means just remember this one and this one. These two things. Okay, that means of course pH small one more question will be there. Small one more question, the pH. What is a pK value? What is a pH? pH means nothing that pH is like kind of the negative logarithm value for the H plus ions. Okay, this is one. So this one and pK value. So you have to remember pH, pOH, pKW. This is only the name just for the, I can keep like one word question and you can choose that. And after that, yes. This body. Conjugate acid, conjugate base. Lowry balanced theory. Towns-Lowry theory is only you know. That's why I cannot ask the question for here. I will ask the question only for the conjugate acid, conjugate base. I can keep some kind of example. For example, I can ask you only this one I can give it. This one I cannot give you. For the acid, you want conjugate base should be like this one. This base conjugate acid should be this one. So like this, I can give like 2 to 3 examples. One side only I can give, other side I cannot give it. Other side you just remember what is the conjugate acid base. Okay, so conjugate acid base you should be remembered. Like means I suggest to understand mostly like conjugate this slide. There are many questions here, right? Just try to remember this one. And yeah, just remember this slide and this slide. Try to remember. Some of the questions will come from there. Slide 1, I mean slide 33, slide 31. Okay, so that means next one. This body. Polyprotic acid. The polyprotic acid and the example. What is a polyprotic acid? What is the example? Maybe you can try to remember one of the calculation also. Not from here, one of the calculation from the homework. Okay, then this okay, this okay, this okay. Then this acid strength for non-metal hydride. Acid strength for non-metal hydride. This one, and I can keep like a oxo acid based strength. So just the 2 more questions, just define about Lewis acid base theory. So Lewis acid base theory means 1, 2, 3. 3 pages you should be remembered. Minimum 3 pages must be remembered. Okay, not just simply only one. So the acid base theory is enough, and mostly like kinetics one. The kinetic is the most important because the factor influences the chemical reactions rate. You have to explain this one. If you write something like, for example, the collision frequency and the concentration, means if you draw something that will be more good than writing also. So if you make like even, this definitely will be influencing your chemistry. And one more thing is the collision theory. You're supposed to be asked you like about the what is the collision theory will be influenced in the reaction rate. You have to express these things, the many things. But mostly, if you are right here, that will be more better one way. Okay, that means we have to consider other one. Rate law. What should be the rate law? Rate law is a function of reactant concentration, how the product concentration will be increased with that particular temperatures. Okay. So this means rate law will be that. So the rate law, if you are supposed to be quick means you have to remember this also. Order. Rate. This is rate law 1 and this one. The answer should be come from this also. The two slides should be answered. Okay? And can you remember only one concentration? I wanted to ask one calculation. Maybe okay, let me tell you about later. Yes, this body, half-life. What is half-life? How to define the half-life for some kind of a chemical reaction with respect to time. I can keep any number, no problem. Just to give like time is increasing, the half-life will be decreasing. Half will decrease. Okay, that's called T half. Just remember that this also must be explained. The T half is equal to ln 2 divided by rate constant equal to 0.6. This should be make sure. Okay, the T half from this slide to this slide you have to remember. The overall information, and one more thing I need to ask you to use in this body. Arrhenius equation to calculate the EA. It's not one question, it's a little bit indirect question I'll ask you. Indirect question means, it's not I don't want to ask you the Arrhenius theory. I could ask how I can calculate the activation energy through the Arrhenius theory. Do you know what I mean? So which means you have to first of all understand about what is the Arrhenius theory and what are the factors here. And here EA value, EA activation energy value is that one. So activation energy, if you're supposed to be used, means you have to remember this one Arrhenius plot. You have to do it from the Arrhenius plot. If you go to slow, then we can got like a like this. I mean activation energy. So that means you have to consider about 1, 2, and this body 3. Okay, the 3 slides should be answered for the activation energy. And one more thing is you need to remember, everybody should be there. How much is your collision energy is influenced by temperature? Collision energy influenced by temperature, or temperature effect on the collision theory. So many already told you, if you increase the temperature, your molecule will be vibrate more. If your molecule vibrate more, the reaction easily can be react to others. That's why whenever you are going to be using a collision energy increasing, when temperature will be increased. Finish it. So that's why you need to remember 1, 2, the collision theory, how he can be external. Which one you feel more easy, then you can understand. So that means if an effective collision, if you are going to be using this collision from this one, which one you are feel easy? 1, 2, 3. Anyone you can use it, but of course you can keep this one also. Any 2 slides you can remember. This slide is compulsory, and this or this or this. Anything you can just remember. One you can remember. Which means the collision energy must be influenced by temperature. That's what we need to make sure. And this. There is one more place. One more question. The transition state of reactions. Transition state of the reactions, which means you no need to remember this one. I just ask you to remember this one. This one, no need this one, to the top one. If anybody transition state is going to be used, this molecule is a transition molecule, a sector molecule. One molecule there, one molecule going to be come, and other molecule automatically release. So this is called a transitional molecule. Then you have to write like this way, and you can keep like energy for this one is much more higher. That's why he must be like a product. So the diagram you have to keep it, and the top one, the transition state, you must keep the other things. The transition theory is more important than any other things also. Okay. Yes. Okay. This buddy. Who is the catalyst? Because most of my questions should be useful to your master degree, not now. So whatever you are going to be study here, whatever going to be write the exam, all exam questions should be useful for your future studies. Like master, if you go to PhD, that time you must be applying. But right now, don't care. So that's why my question is a little bit long term, not for this time. Okay, so that's why I just ask you what is a catalyst, what are type of the catalyst must be there, and why catalyst is easy to use. Okay, catalyst, one type of the catalyst. This is the type of the catalyst, and this is like a homogeneous, heterogeneous. That's it. Okay, that's okay. And come to here, the non-metal. You can talk about hydrides. Type of the hydrides. And one more question should become like here, like peroxide, superoxide. One mark from here. Peroxide and oxide. From here, one mark will be there. And just one more question is, Tayo, okay, this is another thing we will be studying in future already. So that's why some of the one more question will come from these classes. That's it. And transition element. Transition element. Just remember this one, the writing the electronic amplification for the transition element from here. Like this, or some of the material I can keep from this one and try to write like this one. Already I can keep that one, okay. And yes. Structure for the complex ions, including the coordination number, geometry, and ligands. What is a coordination number? What is a ligand? What is geometry? Like this. So, the coordination number you have to remember 2, 4, 4, 6. If you do linear, square, tetrahedral, octahedral, like this you have to remember. And the ligand should be linked to monodent and bident and bident. Just remember, chemical structure also is more important. This is no need to chemical structure. I just want to know this one thing. Linear shape, something is enough. if you remember one or two chemical name is enough. But here, everybody you need to have the chemical name. This is more important for the chemical name. Okay. So that's what these are same. But anyway, one question must be there. And the next one, you can think about the naming, the formula for the coordination chemistry. You have the rules, you have to write it. This one and this one. Okay, I can some kind of name, I can try to, already you know there are some of the example here. Like this, I can keep some of the name, you can write the name also. So, next one, isomerism already we studied many times, that's why I don't care about that. Yes. Next one is like end of the molecule is the d splitting. D orbital splitting. Just remember d orbital splitting must be to G and EG, and how G square, how x square minus y square will be there. This energy is the energy splitting energy. So, if you are going to be use this one, the question should be the one of the important question 1, 2, and because I just give some of the molecule, who is the weak field ligand, who is the strong field ligand, and if I supposed to be, the question should be little bit indirect question. I can keep some of the ligand. For example, I can keep like here like water, right? Similarly, I can keep some other ligand. You can use the ligand, how much the splitting energy of delta will be there. You have to write your own. For example, why the splitting energy, where it come from, that is come from the spectrochemical series. Okay, the spectrochemical series and the splitting energy is more important. One, the slide number 42, slide number 43, slide number 46. Is the 3 is a one question should become the combinations. Okay, so that's why you have to think is like whenever you are going to be using like the same thing only here, like now if you use manganese, is a low weak field is very smaller, is maybe very bigger. That's what. So that's a DD splitting energy, then is enough. I would say about thermodynamic. This one, the limitation of first law. And what is entropy? Entropy. So the entropy means the second law of thermodynamics. That's it. If I ask entropy means you should be informed like the second law of thermodynamics. Both are same. So if you are going to be using such things, the entropy value depends upon influence factor. This one, that's slide number 14. And the entropy versus vibration mode. So you have to remember how you predict your reaction is a spontaneous. If I say ask that one, if I ask the question, how you are predict your molecule will be spontaneous means you have to remember these guys. You have delta G, gives free energy, and enthalpy, entropy, temperature. The three factors you have to explain. And once you are explained, the overall information should be like this, spontaneous. Something is not spontaneous means like this. If it is equilibrium means must be 0. Okay, so just remember this one. How is it spontaneous or not? Then after that, I think enough. Yeah, this one. Reaction spontaneous. Slide 40. electrochemistry? Last semester, previously we studied or not? In midterm exam, I didn't ask him electrochemistry, right? I just asked you skip the electrochemistry. Yeah, I remember I asked you guys to skip the electrochemistry.
We have the redox. Yeah.
Are you sure?
Yes, that is the midterm mark. In midterm you mark lots of the cell
Okay, got it.
redox.
But then enough. Then I get it. I thought I don't. I didn't ask the midterm exam for the electrochemistry. That's why I just keep the electrochemistry also. But anyway, it's okay. In this class, in this book, I wrongly I sent another book. Like last time we speak about three guy, right? Do you remember that guy? The fat, protein, and this glucose. From here, around the 3 mark will be used. Yeah, you don't need to remember everybody. I just ask you the differentiate only. So for example, I could ask you the main information from the lipids. When you're going to be used a lipid, is a lipid type of the lipids. What is a lipid? And what type of the lipids, like a saturated lipid? Saturated one and unsaturated one. Okay. I can send the book again to you. And so one more question I could ask you: what is a triglyceride? Whatever we discussed in the classroom, that's what I want to ask you. Triglyceride. Triglyceride means glycerol and a fatty acid mixing together, triglyceride can produce through the ester bonding. Okay, just remember this triglyceride. So the overall information like this. So that means when you going to be use a triglyceride, you have to remember there like a saturated fat, unsaturated fat. Saturated fat and the mono unsaturated fat. If you are going to be talking about it, triglyceride. Okay, triglyceride is this much. One small words is enough. No need to remember everybody. So, otherwise, you need to remember one more things I can ask you. Polypeptide from the phospholipid. Phospholipid. Can you remember this kind of the structure? It's quite hard for you. Okay, if hard for you, just leave it. I don't want to ask you. Okay, you can just forget about this one. It's no need. I don't want to make you more burden. So, sugar. This one. Protein amino acids. I could ask you like, what is amino acids? And you have to write like this. And the type of the amino acids. Just this page is maybe important for you. this page. If you write something, polar, non-polar, and acid and base, that's it. Polar, non-polar, acid, and base. So that one, no need. So, one more thing is how peptide bond can produce from the amino acids. Actually, this question should become for the next year when you're going to be taking the polymer chemistry class. So, polymer introduction class. This is a major question. That's why I don't want to ask this question. This is the protein structure. Protein structure is one of the most important in polymer science. But if you remember, I don't want to make you confused more about this one. That's why just leave it. But this question will become when you come to the second year. That time I will ask you. I will research this question. Okay. That means I just want to make sure only thing is what are the interaction can be happen in the protein molecules. Interaction in the protein. So just remember to draw this and highlight this one. So interaction in the protein. Okay? So that's enough, I think so. That's enough, I think so. Please DNA, I don't want to ask you DNA. Yeah, it's good enough. I don't want to make you more burden. Make it easy. So no need a polymer. Because polymer just introduce you, there is one course will be there. That course I can teach you by next year. So that's why this year no need to polymer. I mean this semester. So that my question is, if you are, these are the slide around 10 first 1 mark question, remaining like 2 or 3 mark questions. Try to, as you know, like the same formula, draw something, explain something. This is enough. Minimum like 3 to 4 lines, you can just write it. Minimum. With some figure. You have to draw some figure. No matter about this, that now figure at all. You can draw your own. No problem. If you want to draw your own and use some kind of keywords and explain something, that will be good enough for me to give you the full mark. So this is what my information, and our class is over. Chayo for your examinations. Good luck. If you have any problem, just let me know. If you are fine, just fine. See you on next week during the examinations. Okay.